Whether you're watching, listening or reading this, welcome back to the Runpreneur vlog, where we're on a mission to raise £1 million for children's charities by run vlogging on consecutive days the distance of one lap around the world. It is a staggering 40,075 kilometres. It's going to take somewhere in the region of 11 years to accomplish. I'm going to commit to running a minimum of 5 kilometres every day whilst vlogging, and I'll even do it barefoot style. So for those regulars will know that when I vlog about my passions, which are entrepreneurship and running, and most importantly how these topics link together to help people overcome the emotions of stress, overwhelm and anxiety by using exercise as a release mechanism. And it's a beautiful day today. The sun is shining, there's not a cloud in the sky. It's about 15-16 degrees, so lovely running conditions. And it's Sunday run day today, where we discuss all things running. And today's topic is the highs and lows of running every day for a year. So as always, if you like this episode and want to support the challenge, please subscribe, give it a like and a share if you can, and let's get started. So we are officially on, I can't remember what date we're on, but I think we're on the 30th of May today, and tomorrow is the 365th day that I will have run every day for whilst vlogging. So it's the 365th day streak of this challenge, and I think it's quite good to reflect on how it's been, the highs and lows, the high points, the low points, and actually talk people through. So if you are considering doing a challenge where you're going to run every day for a considerable period of time, what kind of works, what you need to take into consideration, and then you may decide whether you really want to do it or not. Because I look back to the beginning, I mean, this was lockdown, we were into lockdown number 1, and it was a situation where, you know, running events were being cancelled, so we just missed out on the real London Marathon and they switched it over to a virtual. All the running events that I had in my calendar were cancelled, so I was caught at a loose end. So I always like having something to aim for with running. And at the same time, you know, I was just going through a business partnership separation from my existing online business, and it was one of those where I was kind of caught at a bit of a crossroads. So I spoke to my business mentor, who's Rob Moore, the disruptive entrepreneur, and he just said, right, you need to produce content every day for a year. And he said, opportunities and money will never be an issue for you again. And I hate content creation. I hate the kind of front-facing things. I've always been more introverted and always been behind-the-scenes type of guy. So, but I committed to it because I had nothing else to do. And I thought, well, you know what? I can combine this with running. I made it a joint challenge. So what I could kind of do, I use the analogy of, you know, it's a bit of a crazy analogy, but like a rock star singing without his guitar. He would be very uncomfortable and awkward. Well, when I run, I'm just such at home with myself and comfort that I can actually talk freely, sometimes a little too freely I might add, and that's caught me out on a couple of occasions. But still, it was a way of something that I would really struggle with, thinking I have to do a video every day. If I run every day and I just do a video as part of it, it's something that I thought was more sustainable. So that's how the challenge was begun. So it was every day for a year. And then when we started getting back into fundraising season, thinking about the fundraising for the marathon, we had to pay up early to existing charities when London Marathon was cancelled, that I thought, well, you know what? How can I, you know, combine my running challenge with fundraising? And so I'm not just getting my content, I'm getting my running and my running challenges, and I'm getting my fundraising challenges. And that's where the Runpreneur challenge was kind of born. And initially it was every day for a year, but because the problem is I've run multiple marathons, ultra marathons, and I've fundraised £17,000 to date for children's charities. And it gets to a stage where the same people support you, and it's like, well, you're just doing another marathon, just do another ultra marathon, and we know you can do that. It's not really a big challenge. So that's why I came up with this epic challenge of running every day, not just for a year, because I still see loads of people kind of doing that, but to do it for every day, to run the distance of one lap around the world whilst vlogging, whilst doing it barefoot, it was far more epic, and I thought something that people would buy into. So that's kind of how it was born. And the challenges I faced is, I was training to be a barefoot runner at the time because of I'm a world record holder of the fastest male marathon runner dressed as a ninja. And part of that Guinness World Record attempt, I had to run in split-toe barefoot style footwear. So I had been training up from that from kind of Christmas prior to lockdown number 1. And I was still partway through transitioning, because if you've never run barefoot before, to get up to high level endurance with calf strengthening, etc., running barefoot, I'm not going to go into detail, I've done separate episodes on that, but ultimately your calf muscle stretches further on every stride because you don't have the heel support that you would get in running footwear. The result of that is your evolution of us wearing footwear, our calf muscles are weaker than they would have been for kind of tribesmen and people who would live in a barefoot lifestyle. Our calf muscles are weaker because we're so conditioned to shorter calf stretches from wearing running footwear or normal footwear. So it can take up to a year to transition. So part of this journey of running every day for a year, I've had 6 calf muscle tears, and that's been one of the biggest low points. But what I've managed to be able to do is understand my body enough so that when I do get a calf tear, I stop and slow down really, really quickly so I don't do any further damage. And what that then enabled me to do was if I go right down, I was able to kind of go out and do my vlog runs in like a running motion, but just quicker than walking pace like this. And so that enabled me to keep going even when I was injured. And I actually found one of the high points throughout these injuries is that by actually running through them, which sounds crazy, but you keep the blood circulation going through the muscles, they repair quicker and they don't repair with damaged tissue. Because what a lot of people do, they rest, put their feet up, but they're not doing enough stretching or rolling to ensure the muscles don't repair with scar tissue. If they repair with scar tissue, then you've got a weak point that's going to damage again. So just running really slowly through them enabled me to repair a lot quicker, and B, it was I wasn't getting those kind of recurring injuries. I know obviously a six-time calf muscle tear sounds recurring, but it was because my calves were not yet strong enough. Touch wood, I haven't had a calf tear for a long time. I still get the odd cramp as I'm putting a lot of miles in on barefoot, but touch wood, I haven't had anything too major, so that's really, really important. Also, barefoot running, it sorts your running form out, because if you run normally, okay, you wear supportive footwear, it can mask inefficiencies in your running technique. If you run barefoot, it's so painful if you're catching your stride wrong or you're landing slightly off the sink. So it actually sorts your running form out, which has been a really positive. So the next thing about running every day for a year, you get no recovery, obviously. So hydration has been really, really important. So I've been drinking a gallon of water every day, which is, depending on which metric you use, it works out to be about 3.7, 3.8 litres of water every day. Now I've missed it every now and then, but generally speaking I do take on that much water intake, and that's been quite good at keeping my immune system pretty good and recovery. Eating, I've tried to eat relatively healthy. I'm a pescatarian, so I don't eat meat. I try and stay away as much as possible from processed foods, but we all have moments where we slip up. But I think nutrition is really, really important if you're going to take on a challenge like this to a degree. So trying to eat better is going to enable your body to recover quicker. So that's a really, really important aspect of this. So that's what I've kind of learned and tried to adopt with the challenge. The second thing is running elements and wearing the right attire. I've always had running gear and stuff to run in, but you kind of learn from doing this. I mean, I've run in snow, I've run in hail, I've run in sleet, I've run in fog, I've run in misty rain, I've run in torrential rain, I've run in ice, I've run in 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and all this is over the past kind of 1 year. So you kind of get used to how to dress in what temperatures. You understand the importance of wind. I even monitor which wind direction is blowing so that I pick my routes where I'm getting side winds rather than headwinds. The problem is when I do a lot of out and back, I don't like winds behind me either, because I then have to turn around and get the headwind coming back. So you understand things like that. So you'll notice I pick a similar route quite often, but that's often based on wind speed and wind direction. So I've also kind of got into trying to stick to burning at least 500 calories a day, so that when I'm eating, I can eat a little bit more and feel less guilty. If I cheat on my trying to eat healthily, if I've always burned at least 500 calories a day, that's kind of about a meal. So you can get away with it a lot more. 5k runs were kind of 250 to 300 calories. So maybe a little bit more, maybe 350 calories depending on the pace. I do a minimum generally of 7.3, 7.4k, which is it works out at the pace I run to be 500 calories burnt, which is like a meal to me. So that's helped certainly with keeping weight off if you're cheating when you're eating. I've worked out my running, kind of statistics that I need to stick to finish by my 15th birthday. I need to be averaging 66 kilometres every week. That's 41.2 miles every week. It's quite a lot of miles, but it's something that I've been able to sustain now for several months since working out when I turn 50. I want to finish on my 50th birthday. That's always been the aim. What a way to finish. So that was kind of assessed and worked out. And then I have a routine of what days I do. 7.5, I do a couple of longer runs, normally one on a Sunday or a Saturday, and then usually one on a Friday. Friday and Sunday normally works better for me based on my routine and people who run with me, etc. So a lot of that has to be considered. The other thing is it tests you very, very mentally, running every day. And bear in mind, in this challenge as well, for running every day, I've done a marathon, and now I've done multiple half marathons. So I'm clocking up some kind of longer runs as well. And it's really, really difficult kind of running every day after a marathon and up to a marathon. And obviously I did the minimum on the week of the marathon, where I ran 5 kilometres every day up until the marathon day, and then the following week I kept the mileage down at 5 kilometres a day, and it was really slow, easy running to try and make it feel as if I wasn't really running as the plan. So when you're doing big events like that, normally if you're doing a marathon, you taper down for 2 weeks before, where you'd barely run anywhere near the mileage you previously done to let your legs fully recover. I broke the world record for the fastest male marathon runner, dressed as a ninja, at 3 hours 55 minutes whilst being part of this running every day streak. I've got the world record attempt of running to be the fastest male marathon runner male half marathon runner dressed as a ninja in October this year. I'm hopefully going to be doing another actual world record attempt at London Marathon as well, because I'm always aiming to break 2 world records every year as well as part of this challenge, just for good publicity and to try and increase the likelihood of raising more money. So running is very mental, as I was saying. I talked about the pros and cons of trying to fit in longer runs and how you need to manage your legs around them by lowering the mileage on the days before and after. To be honest, I can get up to half marathon now and I can run pretty normally the next day, so I'm at that level. But when you get to marathon distance, your legs are shot, and it is a challenge. So it's been as much of a mental battle as it has a physical one so far, because with your mental, they always say as a runner, people always think, he's got really strong legs. Legs don't really mean much. They do in running, let's be honest, but they're certainly not the most important. When you're running, it's head first. Your head is the most important thing. Within reason, your body will do what your head tells it to do. Second is your cardiovascular system. That's the engine, making sure it's fueled correctly so you don't run out of gas. And then if you get the top 2 right, your legs will keep going. And I've worked, you learn that, how far you can push yourself, certainly when you do challenges like this, certainly when you do longer distance stuff as well. But I think ultimately, when you get days like today, it's an absolute joy to run. I mean, look at the weather. You see the sky, the sun, the vest, you get a suntan. It's like the world is a great place. It's actually quite hard running in the extreme heat, as the longer distance stuff is really difficult with the amount of fluids you lose through sweat, etc. But running on those really cold, wintry days, windy, cold, wet days is hard. And you wake up and you think you've got to go and do a 7.5k run. It's not the most attractive proposition, and I think what I've learned is that you have to kind of create a very much a habit orientated lifestyle, a routine based lifestyle, where I always find that, working around family, sometimes I will run later today. I mean, today it's 11:30, I'd normally run at 8:30. But ultimately, you have to work around your family and that side of things. So I'd normally do it 8:30 because it coincides with school runs, etc. But the weekends I'm a bit more relaxed, but usually I have football and stuff to do for the kids, so you fit it around. But my mind is conditioned to running every single day, so I get the odd day where I have a bit of an argument with my mind, so I'm really not feeling up for it, but most of the time my mind's accepted it. It's such a reinforced habit in my life, I don't have to, it's not like I have to talk myself into it. I just accept, right, I'm going to go and get it done, and I'll do it, rather than, oh, I really don't want to do it. You still get those days, and you have to be quite big and strong to kind of overcome them, mentally anyway. But what I find, as soon as you get out there, it's not as bad as your mind is making it out to be. So overcoming obstacles is quite a big one in that regard. So there's going to be something else I was going to talk to you about with regards to this as well, but I can't actually quite think of what it was going to be now. But I think I've covered the key points that I wanted to kind of cover with you in terms of the highs and lows of running every day, and kind of what you have to take into consideration when you're doing it, and if you want to do it. It's not for everyone. It's probably not a recommended style of training either, because recovery is often so important. But to make it a more sustainable one, you have to have a lot of recovery running, so a lot of slower stuff. That's the other thing. You can't chase PBs and stuff like lots of people try to, but when you do, you've got to be very, very conscious so you don't exert yourself too much, because your muscles are always under a level of duress, which just stays. I mean, my legs are normally tight pretty much every day, but you get used to it after a while. It's the same with anything, but you have to obviously rein it back in, because this challenge is always about getting up and running the next day, and if you do anything that's going to jeopardize the risk of doing that, then it's something that does have to be considered. So again, that's mindset, and reining it back in when I go to running clubs, etc., and people are going for kind of PBs and pushing and stuff, I have to pull it back, and I'm such a competitive person usually, so it's got a big tractor coming behind me, so I'm just going to stand to the side. It's a super hard challenge to kind of rein in my level of competitiveness is a big one. So there's tractors going past me, so just bear with me whilst I'm doing this. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of it's mental, and then you have to kind of put on the whole marketing plan behind it as well. It's a lot of work and a lot of effort, but ultimately, I find that as a person, I did an episode on my vlog a long time ago about writing your own eulogy, and people who have lived safe but happy lives is absolutely fine, but I've always wanted to be known as somebody who had a go, tried to make a difference, lives by successes and failures, and there's plenty of both, and just not have any regrets. And I always said that I wanted to make a life-changing difference to children in some way, and I think £1 million across a wide spectrum of issues that affect children all around the globe is an amazing cause, and something that I'm truly passionate about. And I quite like my new job title is serial entrepreneur and running philanthropist. I just quite like it, but there you go. So that's pretty much it for me today anyway. As always, if you've got any questions for me, drop me a comment. I'll respond to every one. If it's a bigger topic, I'll do a separate vlog episode and tag you in. Please do check out the links in my bios, where you can find out a lot more about the challenge, how you can get involved, how you can support it financially, how you can support it non-financially, as I can't do this without you, and it really will make a genuine life-changing difference to children that need it the most. So as always, my content is geared around entrepreneurship and running, and how it links with helping people overcome the emotions of stress, overwhelm and anxiety by using exercise as a release mechanism. So each and every one of us experience daily and weekly pressures in the form of stress, and it's like pressure building in a pipe. You have to have a process for releasing that pressure. So how do we process what's happened? How do we gain clarity on it? How do we refocus, clear our heads and move on? That's what I mean by this release mechanism. If you don't do it frequently enough, those stresses or pressures will build up into overwhelm. Overwhelm is when you've got too many things going on, you don't know how to deal with it, you've got too many things to think about, and you almost panic and freeze, have a seizure, procrastinate, and then very, very quickly you'll be in panic and anxiety mode, which is where you're flirting with the edges of mental health issues. And in the pipe analogy, the pipe bursts and you have a mental breakdown, and clearly you want to avoid this. Now, I've been there. I've lost businesses, I've lost business partners, I've almost been bankrupt because of these exact reasons, and it is a horrendous experience. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. But there's no coincidence in the last year of doing this running vlog, which is my release mechanism, I've made more progress in all facets of my life than I have done in the previous 5 years. So there's enough social proof there that stuff really works. So my pledge to you is, if you are someone who's struggling with this, drop me a message, okay? Runpreneur Vlog is not for profit. It's completely free. Everything we do is about raising money for donations, which is optional, not essential. All the value and content is always for free. So drop me a message, we'll jump on a quick call. I'll give you a step-by-step guide on how we can get you back on the right path. And I know this stuff works because I've helped hundreds of entrepreneurs over the years in my previous business, and it's what it's done for my story. It's hopefully enough social proof too. So help is there. It's often easiest asking a stranger, the nearest and dearest, and it's often free if you're just prepared to ask. So that's it for me today. As always, I'll leave you with stay positive, stay happy, and I will see you tomorrow.